Brett says we have no audio, buddy. Okay, we'll keep going. We'll keep going and pretend that people can hear us. Stay tuned, folks.
We're just uttering threats and slurs and just saying horrible things right now. You'll never guess what we're saying while the mics aren't connected.
I hope that isn't when it started going at. Can everyone hear us now? Please let me know if you can hear us. I hope so. Either way, here we are.
Missed a lot of really good content.
Yeah, that was some really good stuff. I'll recap quickly. I'm sweating. I had to clean out a Yeti cooler before, and it smells in this
What was
room
in
right
there?
now. Mold.
Why?
Because there was hot chocolate left in there.
Okay.
And I will say, shout out to Yeti, because that thing was contained big time.
No one noticed that the foul smell outside until you open the thing.
Only till you open the thing, and then
That's
all of a
good.
sudden,
I
here
think
we
that's
are.
a good
It's a really good promotion for
That's
them.
a good
It keeps
promo.
everything sealed inside. Heat. They're not even on the show.
all right,
Keep your
okay.
heat.
So this is just free advertising.
This is just
so
free ads because they were
you
such a
could
good
put
partner
anything
for
you
us.
want in there and nobody would ever know.
No one would ever know. Pregaming with Bordzy is presented by Sherwood Ford. Hockey fans helping hockey fans. Free valet service for all Oilers fans. Never visit the dealership again for a car service. Get an exclusive swag package with every Nation Valet service box online and get automatically entered to win a monthly prize. Book at sherwoodford.ca to make sure you add in Oilers Nation Valet in the pickup comments to get in on the draw. We're also a presentation of Bet365. Bet365 is a proud partner of Pregaming with Bordzy. Open account today with Bet365 and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use the promo code NATION. There you go.
That was good.
See right off the bat. Whew. Okay, I'm really out of breath. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am feeling kind of weird right
Those
now.
stairs,
Kim.
those stairs, really.
Well, I thought I left my phone downstairs as well, and it was
The
just
phone was just right there, yeah.
on the fireplace. So that was a big one for me. Okay, the Edmonton Oilers playing the Colorado Avalanche tonight. 4 minutes into the show, I should probably start to mention that. What did you see from the last game that the Oilers played? What was your biggest takeaway against the St. Louis Blues?
The Blues and the Blackhawks back to back.
Sorry. Yes.
I was impressed that because we all know there's a flu or some kind of illness. We don't know whether it's a cold or a flu, whatever's going on. Something's ripping through the dressing room. Matthias Ekholm missed that game against the Leafs, and then Adam Henrique missed the first one against St. Louis. So we know there's something going through there, and they still managed to go on the road against, albeit two pretty mediocre opponents. The Blues are mid.
Yeah,
and the Blackhawks are terrible.
There are definitely,
but the Blackhawks tried really hard. They want to beat the Oilers, and they had the chance to win that season series in that game, and they tried pretty hard. But
I do think sometimes it can be undervalued going into those markets. Like everyone just expects the Oilers to wipe the floor with those teams, and every team that's contending for a Stanley Cup to go into your Chicago,
still a
San
road
Jose.
game, though.
Still a road game. Chicago has historically been a pretty difficult city for teams to go into and win anyway. And at the end of the day, like they do have some professionals in there, like guys that have been around the block, like Patrick Maroon is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. Nick Foligno's no slouch, is towards the end of his career, but they also have guys who are trying to prove themselves early in their career, like Connor Bedard. I know.
What do you think about that criticism about his defense? He's been in the limelight recently. It was Mark Messier first saying,
that one was,
and
harsh.
then there was the he really
Biz.
went in on what he was saying, and then the Bizanet one as well.
Yeah, do you know what? Like at the end of the day, these guys, I don't think they're wrong. I think it was harsh for sure, but like it is what happened. Bedard made a terrible play because he didn't pass the puck, and it ended up resulting in a power play for the Oilers and what should have been a goal by Zach Hyman. And like they didn't score in that power play, if I'm remembering correctly. The Oilers, they didn't. That's right. They had 3 terrible power plays in that game until the end. But overall, like he's a young player. We had Jason Demers on the show today, and it's like I think people are expecting Bedard to be Crosby, McDavid.
Even McDavid, there was so much talk about the defense for the first 5 years.
There was that somewhat famous article from Mark Spector who came out and said the Oilers weren't going to win anything until McDavid and Draisaitl learned how to play defense. And
he's not wrong.
He at the time it was like, how can you say that? There were such great players. Like other players should play defense around them. It's like, well, actually, you know what? He was probably right in what he said overall. But yeah, I think Bedard is more of a Hughes level first overall pick, I would say. Like still an amazing talent, someone who can drive your franchise for however long you need him to, but I would say he's kind of on that caliber of player. And let's take a look what's happening in the Odd Company YouTube chat right now as well. We are pumped to be partnering with Odd Company Brewing to bring you the all-new Nation beer. We got a couple of them here. Maybe we'll pop some tonight during the game. It's called a Nation Beer Everyday Lager. Perfect for the next big game on your new go-to lager. Find out more about it at Odd Company Brewing and at Liquor Connect, where you can see maybe it's at a liquor store close to you. Okay, we got a score prediction from Austin right off the bat. 2-1 Oilers.
All right.
So he's expecting a goalie battle. Sergeant battle.
Do we know who's in net yet?
Not for...
We know Stuart Skinner's playing for the Oilers.
Skinner's a lock for the Oilers, but nothing on the Colorado side of things yet. There's rumors that maybe Trent Miner could play. He's a rookie for them. He got called up because Scott Wedgwood is still out with an injury. We'll have a bit more on the goalies later, but this could potentially be another game for Mackenzie Blackwood. He did play last night too against the Calgary Flames. Sergeant battle, Ty Emerson, first goal scorer. He's due. He literally doesn't have a goal for the Oilers this season, so that would be a pretty big one. Brett's also here. Brett, how are you doing over there? Good. Thanks for that.
That was a high voice. That was a nice
carrying the show a little bit. Once I got my breath back. Aaron Bordato in the chat.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, he's in the chat. Big fan of this show, Aaron Bordato. He said, "What do we like on the bankroll tonight?" Oh, you'll have to tune in a little later on, Aaron, to really find out if
is he sending us his pics or what's going on with that?
I did it, but if Aaron wants to send us,
you're gonna send us. Aaron gonna send us the pics because he's the one in the know.
And also to email them to yourself because your email is attached to this computer upstairs. So just email him directly to yourself if you wanna get involved in it. Aaron, we'll see what he says on there. Later
you can also do one of those paid comments and make us say something.
Yeah, you could do a super chat to go to the Ben Stelter Foundation. If anybody wants to go ahead and do that, you can drop them in the chat whenever you need. More than appreciate. And there's another comment here. Oh, there it is. My Jordans, great name. It looks like he's a Doug Waite jersey in his picture. I'd put it on a TV screen for you, Koon, but I can't figure out how to do it. It's absolutely.
We've got a blank TV here. Just
I've done it before as well.
We're staring into the abyss.
We really are. They said, what was it? My Jordan said Jeff Skinner over to get a goal tonight.
Sure.
You like that one?
I don't disagree with that. He's been hot recently. He's been playing top 6 minutes too, because they let the hot hand go whenever he scores. He keeps getting the ice time.
Yes.
If he doesn't score, then Lord knows what's going to happen.
Press box.
Exactly.
Press box.
He knows he's got to keep scoring.
Yeah, he
not
does.
Get those minutes. He knows that.
It is a good thing to keep someone going. If you don't produce on the night, you're out of the line. A bit harsh, but hey, if it works, it works. Let's get into your need to know information right now with the Will Hawk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn the Will Hawk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, Will Hawk Beef Jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. And everybody in Oilers Nation can vouch for that because sometimes Trent comes by and drops off some beef jerky. Amazing stuff every single time. I always wait till no one's looking and just take a bag home for myself. Also, his pepperoni sticks are amazing too. For more information, go to willhawkbeefjerky.com. Okay, you need to know information. Let's just start off right away with the Colorado Avalanche. They're coming into tonight's game. Second of back-to-backs as we head into the Four Nations break. They beat the Calgary Flames last night, 4-2. Big win in a playoff battle right now. Calgary and Colorado both holding down those wildcard spots. I think both teams shockingly in those spots for different reasons. I think we all expected Colorado to be much higher up the standings. And I know they're kind of pushing for that top 3, but I really did think they'd be competing a little bit harder with Winnipeg. But there you go, 66 points for Colorado in 56 games, 2 points back of Minnesota with 1 game played ahead of them. Winnipeg Jets, 79 points on the season, 55 games played. I guess, what are your overall thoughts of just Colorado, and what do you where would you kind of label them if it's like cup contender, playoff team, fringe team, that kind of thing? You know what I mean?
It's hard to see them as a cup contender because they don't have that same depth they had when they won the Stanley Cup in 2022. Of course, they swept the Oilers in the Western Conference Finals. They were really good that year. They're not the same team they used to be. I don't think they're a little bit more top heavy now, and they had that slow start to the season too with the 2 goalies before they made the trades in late November and early December to get Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. The 2 goalies before that, Alexander Georgiev and Justice and Noonan.
Anna
Noonan,
something like
weird
that.
Goalie combo.
Yeah.
They went 14-11-0 with a combined save percentage of .873 for the Avs before those trades. And since then, they've gotten 921 save percentage from Wedgwood and Blackwood, the two Woods, and they've gone 18-9-2 with those goalies.
Wood power, am I
Wood
right?
Power, exactly.
It's crazy to think how bad those two goalies were for them. And like the difference, like
shocking.
Blackwood and Wedgwood as well. I feel like Wedgwood is a player that's kind of underrated in all of this. He's done pretty well since he got there from
those are smart swaps that they made. They might have saved their season.
I think they totally did save their season. There was those points in the season where they're unsure if they were even going to get into the playoffs. Never mind like competing for
what about
the title. Like
what about the other trade they made then? The other one in late January.
The Mikko Rantanen trade.
4-3-0 since then.
Is that what they are? And they've only
4-3-0,
played one playoff team. So obviously you can see it on your screen now. Carolina got Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. Avalanche, who we're talking about mostly at my HS. Jack Drury is just a bottom six centerman for them, a second round pick and a fourth round pick. What did you think when you first saw this?
It was shocking. I
don't think there's another trade I can compare this to in NHL history.
No, I mean, the closest thing would be probably, Boston trading Joe Thornton to San Jose.
Yeah, and that was so long ago.
2-3 months into 2005, 2006. That was really weird. And I mean, Colorado doing this because, and I mean, this is old news. We've all talked about it before, but it's still shocking because, I mean, the salary cap's going up and it kind of feels like you had the money all there they're going to have to do a Kill McCarr contract soon, but you had money to keep all three of those guys. And I don't know why they did such a big shakeup at this point in the season. I mean, like Martin Nietzsche has been good. He's got 8 points in 7 games.
He's led their team in points since they was acquired by them. Yeah, but still, like
it's a huge shakeup to make at that time of the season.
Just feels a bit unnecessary for what they did. And I know there was some speculation. Like Frank came on our show and said, like, hey, like he doesn't want to sign. If they don't sign him, then there's a good chance he could get traded. But that was early in the year, and it never really felt like that was truly going to happen. But here we are, and now you have Martin Necas, who, like you said, in his 7 games, he's done pretty well for them, 8 points over that time. I think the craziest thing about this deal for a Martin Necas is his minutes. His time on ice has increased so much, and it's such a difference in the way Colorado play and the way Carolina play.
Carolina's more about the depth.
Totally. So this season, Necas was averaging 18 minutes and 5 seconds in 49 games for Carolina. He had 55 points and 16 goals. In only 7 games for Colorado, he is averaging 22 minutes and 56 seconds of ice time. And now to flip that onto the other side, like a lot of people that criticize in Mikko Rantanen and saying, oh, well, look how poorly he's producing now that he's not with Nathan MacKinnon. And I think it's unfair because then when you go and look, his minutes are essentially flipped. He's only averaging around 18 minutes a night. So I think it's something that will eventually come back and bite the staff in Colorado, to be honest. I don't know how you can get away with a deal like this and think things are gonna get better, I guess you could say. Like people keep talking like, oh, they can make another deal. It's like, okay, well, what are they gonna go get? I mean, this is a conversation about them getting a second line center. Yeah. Casey Middlestad's their second line center right now, who's on Frank's trade board. I believe he's top 5. Him and Bowen Byram, ironically, were traded for each other last year, and now
just switch him back.
Yeah, get him back. Get another defenseman there. Brock Nelson is someone they've been labeled with, but again, Lou Lamoriello being Lou Lamoriello wants to sign the 34-year-old to a 4-year deal, like you do. You know, so he's number 1 on Frank's board, but I don't know. Like, what do you? Colorado obviously has to do something else, right?
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, it seems like the Middlestad thing hasn't worked out with him as the second line center, and it's a bit surprising. I know he's a versatile forward and he plays all over the place, but it's a bit surprising to see Martin Necas used on the Nathan MacKinnon line. I mean, Colorado's got a problem now where they're so top heavy. Like the Avs are outscoring their opponents with MacKinnon and McCarr on the ice, but when those two aren't playing, it's like the Oilers of 5 years ago with McDavid and Draisaitl. If those two weren't on the ice, then nothing good was happening. Yeah. So I thought they'd be making this trade to get Necas so that he could drive the second line, but here we are.
And my Necas is on a great deal as well, on like $6.5 million with another year left on his deal as well. If you remember, the last time the Oilers played Colorado, obviously the Oilers came back from a 3-0 deficit, but Mikko Rantanen played on the second line. He did not play with Nathan MacKinnon that night because they were trying to spread out.
Weren't they using him as a center?
They were using him as a centerman. Yeah. So an interesting one. Another big storyline for tonight's game is the race for the Hart Trophy. It's kind of coming down to Nathan MacKinnon and Leon Draisaitl, it feels like, and of course a points lead in one as well. Nathan MacKinnon retook the lead yesterday, now up to 83 points on the season. Leon Draisaitl has 80 points on the year. What do you make of that battle, and do you see Leon as the front runner for the Hart Trophy this year?
I'm definitely not biased. I'm not a homer or anything, but
that's how you brought you on.
Personally, I think it should be Leon Draisaitl. I mean, I understand the argument for Nathan MacKinnon because he doesn't play with Connor McDavid. So I guess there's that. But the thing that Leon Draisaitl has going for him is league lead in goals 38. 28 of those have come at even strength. 9 of those have been game winners. He leads the league in game winning goals. And the next guy is Mark Scheifele with 8. So Leon Draisaitl is on pace to put up, 14, 15 game winning goals this season. I think if you get up to a number like that and the Oilers wind up winning the Western Conference with the best record or finish first in the Pacific Division, I think it should be Draisaitl.
Which would end the 36-year drought.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Which is the longest active streak in the NHL for a team that has actually won their division before, I believe. Gord corrected me. Thanks, Gord. 81 points for Leon Draisaitl this season, not 80. You're right. I was thinking back to last game when Nathan MacKinnon did not have 81 points.
38 goals and 43 assists.
It's not bad, eh?
It's pretty good.
Brett, what do you make of the Hart Trophy race?
Connor with Leon winning the Hart is like Leon has done it without Connor in the lineup. Leon's done it with Connor in the lineup. Leon's done it without.
Yeah,
he's been able to carry this team to not only keep their head above water, but to wins and to evidently #1 spot in the Pacific Division. One of the best teams in the league as of late, and it's no competition for me. It's gotta be Leon.
Yeah. What's that name say? I can't see here. I don't have my glasses on. I don't even have glasses. Mentioned Connor Hellebuck as a candidate for the MVP of the league. I think that's a great shout as well. Hellebuck is kind of the reason Winnipeg is so high up the standings, and his save percentage is so remarkable in comparison to what the league averages as well. Like right now, we're seeing lows for however long of save percentage for goaltenders. What's Hellebuck, like a 925, something around
925, yeah. In Hockey References, goals saved above average, he's in first place with 27.1, and the next highest guy is Andrei Vasilevsky with 18.1.
That is nuts. And Vasilevsky's team isn't even in a playoff spot.
They're not anymore?
I think they fell out. Maybe they
beat the Sens yesterday.
Oh, no, sorry. It was Boston that fell out of a wild card spot recently.
Wow.
They're in a spot.
Maybe they're going to trade Brad Marchand. What do you think?
What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Jeez, you never know. That could be the game changer the Oilers are looking for.
Let me know, actually, in the Odd Company YouTube chat what you think of the Brad Marchand rumors. We kind of spoke about it yesterday on a video Koom and I did on Wednesday, actually, of just like, it doesn't really seem like a possibility.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I said to Ty as well on the other show of just, do you really think Sweeney's going to want to be the guy that trades away Brad Marchand? I know he's a pen in UFA, but like, you can always use the excuse in the summer of like, we couldn't figure anything out. Like, to trade him now, I just think like you're just throwing in the towel on the season, which is just like not anything anyone in Boston ever does. I just don't think it's.
Bruins are bad though. They should throw in the towel in the season. They got a negative 24 goal differential.
I really do think so.
They're not. I don't think they're very good at all. My
hot take at the start of the year was that Jeremy Swayman would have a bad season, and he's actually been a lot better than I think he's been given credit for. But overall, like, his numbers are not anywhere near his contract is valued at. Noah over in the Twitter chat, which I don't think I've ever said before. He said, "I take Marchand." Jamie in the YouTube chat said, "No Marchand." Would you bring back Tom Marchand?
At his age, I've probably still got good wheels.
No Marchand for him. So yeah, I don't know. I do think Brad Marchand is just a lifer for the Boston Bruins. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight, and this is from Jason Gregor's game notes before we move into, I want to talk about starting goalies next, but we'll then move into our Sherwood Ford Giant storyline, and then onto the lineups. So we're already 20 minutes into the show.
We're killing it.
So Gregor put out a stat today. This seems to be, and it's very cliche, and I think every fan base will go through this, like, Oilers get goalie, the Oilers never do well against rookie goaltenders, all those ones, like, oh, his first start ever, like, he's going to do so well against Edmonton, all that kind of stuff. In the last 5 seasons, the Oilers are 8-33 against rookie goaltenders.
That's shocking.
33-8.
Oh, 33-8. Okay, there we go.
I misread it.
The 8 and
rookie
30
goalies are 8-33
I
versus
gotcha.
the Oilers. Sorry to spook everyone. And I bring that up because Trent Miner is a possibility that he could come up and play tonight if Colorado choose to go that way. We still don't have any confirmation, right, Brett? No. The bread man is on it, though, once we know the Oilers should take the ice here in like less than 10 minutes, about 8 minutes, I would say. So we'll find out soon. He goes through the lock. The Oilers have faced 3 rookie goaltenders this season, and all 3 of those rookie goaltenders have lost that game. One of them, I actually have no idea who it is.
Who?
Stober?
Who?
Who's
Sure.
that? Let's find out. He plays on Utah. I don't remember that.
What's his
guy.
first name?
Jackson Stober.
Oh, with the X?
Yeah.
Jax.
That's it. Jackson. That must have been when they won. Oh, here it is. I have it right in front of me. That must have been when the Oilers beat them in overtime, right?
Yep.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. The kid. Wait a minute. Gord said Rob Stauber's kid. He doesn't play in LA. He plays for Utah. He had a 919 save percentage on this game. Not bad, but not good enough.
It's just fine.
Just fine. Okay, let's move on to our Sherwood, Power Sports, and Marine starting goaltenders, because I think that's a really interesting battle tonight between Colorado and Edmonton, home of the $50 bi-weekly ATV. Be on a boat next summer for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Hockey fans helping hockey fans with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, and boats. Boats.
Been watching that show.
How many, Mother?
Yeah.
It's a great one. Anyone watching Young Sheldon yet? No? Anyone in the chat? What? Okay, this is my Sherwood, Power Sports, and Marine non-sports question. Oh, Brett, we got to put the Oodle Noodle question in the YouTube chat as well. Actually, let's do this one. This is my Oodle Noodle poll question in the chat. What is your favorite 20-minute just throw in a TV show? What's yours? You know, you got The Office.
Like a short, quick TV show?
Yeah, like something you just throw on. Was it's just
A really good background show to throw on. Mike Tyson Mysteries. It's a great show. On Netflix, I think it's on Netflix. That's a fun one. Quick episodes, like 10, 15 minutes. Nice thing to do if you're like doing something and you need to throw something on quick, and then you watch it, and then you do something else.
Okay, that is not what I expect you to say at all. Mind you,
What'd you expect me to say?
I don't know. Like,
What did you think I was going
The
to like?
Office, Family Guy.
Well, you said
Young
The Office just
Sheldon.
there, so I didn't want to repeat back to you The
Hey,
Office.
it's okay to be the same. I got a couple in the chat already. Futurama from Austin. Gord said It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Those are good ones.
Sadistic Angel, The Neighbors, Charlie, Community, High and Dry, Crazy Answer. I'm not saying that one.
What?
Yeah, I'll show you after the show. West Side Chain, Seinfeld, great one. Bunch of good ones in there. Love, Death, Robots from Sergeant Battle. Joe.
I should have just
Brooklyn
guessed.
Nine-Nine. You should have just
I
guessed.
should have just
20-minute show.
used
Like
deductive
High and
reasoning.
Dry.
Yeah,
Come on,
wow.
man. That's not a 20-minute
Damn.
show. Starting goaltenders tonight. Obviously, we don't know if Mackenzie Blackwood is playing for the Colorado Avalanche, but either way, he's still, quite frankly, an amazing goaltender and has been really, really good for them since they acquired him. This is his stats on the season. 2.03 goals against average in comparison to Stuart Skinner, which isn't too far off. 2.68. Skinner has played, 15 more games than him on the year. 926 save percentage for Blackwood. Skinner, 902. Both have 2 shutouts. But we're saying Skinner has 2.5 shutouts on the year, because what's that game he got pulled for? Boston, was it?
Yes.
Boston? Yeah, I think it was Boston. Mackenzie Blackwood on the year, 13-6 and 2. In his last game, he earned one of those 13 wins. He had 27 saves and a 931 save percentage and a 4-2 win over Calgary last night. If he is to play tonight, this will be his 6th straight start with Scott Wedgwood out of the lineup in those 5 previous
They don't
games.
trust Trent Miner at all, do they?
They really
Fort
do
Minor?
not. And they're just running Blackwood into this break, which I think is fair enough, to be honest. Last 5 games for Mackenzie Blackwood, 938 save percentage, 1.60 goals against average. Stuart Skinner, 907 save percentage, 2.60 goals against average. Obviously, his last game out was against the St. Louis Blues. I think did really well in that game. Oilers won that game 3-2. I think he was pretty unfortunate on both the goals. I wouldn't blame him on either of them. You could argue neither of them should have even counted, because St. Louis should not have been on the power play for that home hit.
Possibly, yes.
And then Brady Shen should have been in the box for absolutely bored in Zach Hyman.
Yep.
And then they went up the other ice and scored. But either way, Stuart Skinner, obviously, I think just a controversial player in Edmonton because, quite frankly, he's a goaltender. And I think that's about it.
There's never not been a controversial goaltender.
Never. It's funny now because there seems to be a conversation coming back to guys like Koskinen and Mike Smith of like when they were here, like no one truly believed in them.
No.
But
there was nobody here sitting being like, oh yeah, we're going to
look how good they are.
Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen, and it was the same thing with Cam Talbot as well. People were skeptical.
Yeah. So it's just
even
like,
with Dwayne Rollison too, when they got him in 05-06, they had a slow little start there after that trade, and people were like, oh, this guy has no playoff experience, blah blah blah. He's a backup in Minnesota. No one ever feels good about the goaltending in Edmonton.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a thing.
It is never a thing. But Mackenzie Blackwood obviously traded. Is that something you would have addressed it? Like, do you think what do you think of Blackwood? I guess like how high do you think of him? Do you think he should have been on the Four Nations team?
That's an interesting one actually. The Montembeault instead of him was a bit surprising, but
any of them,
really any Canadian goalie other than Montembeault. But I don't know. Blackwood is probably the one goalie that was trade forable. That's not really a word, but acquirable during the season that maybe the Oilers could have gone for, and it might have been an upgrade on what they have right now. I mean, it probably would have been an upgrade, yes, but Colorado swooped in on that really early. I don't think you often see teams going and trading for a goalie, making a big swap like that in early December. So I don't think you look back at that trade, and I don't think the Oilers had the same assets that Colorado did to pull the trigger on a move like that. So Blackwood was the one, I think, strong goalie on the market to get, and he was already got by December. So I don't think that was really doable for the Oilers.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And Stan Bowman spoke a little bit today, never really with Pierre LeBrun, I think it was. Mentioned that like goalie's not really an option for them. They're not really too interested in that. We spoke to Frank yesterday on O&E, and he said that it's like 4th or 5th on the priority list at the best. Like the Oilers need a lot of other positions, which we'll try and get to later on in the show as well. But this brings me to my Sherwood Ford giant storyline of the game. Obviously, we already spoke about their Nation Valet service earlier on. Go check that out at sherwoodford.ca. Make sure you add Oilers Nation Valet in the pickup comment section too to get in on the draw for some prizes. Storyline coming into tonight for me is obviously the battle, like we were saying, and I had this interesting thought the other day of Stuart Skinner. We all saw what he did against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think it's fair to say I think that was his worst game of the season, to be honest. And I know we can look back at the Winnipeg game, but the reason I label it as his worst game of the season was it was a very winnable game for the Oilers, but they were down 3-0 early, you know, and I feel like the goals that were scored were very, very avoidable. So, Brett, do you have those cards from these are Stuart Skinner's numbers? I brought this up on O&E the other day, but I wanted to bring this up with you as well, Koom. So these are from the other day. Maybe there's a few things missed with other goalies playing top 10 teams, but Stuart Skinner against top 10 teams this season, a .85 save percentage, goals saved above average. These are all from Natural Stat Trick. Minus 1.05. High danger save percentage is 0.763. Only Aiden Hill and Jake Ottinger have a worse high danger save percentage than Stuart Skinner. In the other two categories, Stuart Skinner is the worst, and that is all situations. Skinner definitely needs to step up more in these games. Have you kind of noticed a trend of when the others play elite teams, we'll call him, he isn't necessarily at his best too, or is that just me?
It just feels like a general inconsistency. It just feels like, I feel like we've talked about this quite a few times, that with Stuart Skinner, it feels like he's either very on and everything that's thrown on net is right at his pads or right into his chest, and nothing's going in no matter what. And you feel really calm and really confident with him between the pipes. But then there's just these long stretches where it feels like everything's going to go in, and you're nervous when the other team has the puck in Edmonton zone. You think, oh man, like anything on net's going in, and there's no middle ground. And that's what I find. And I guess if you crunch the numbers a little bit more, it's probably those games against contending teams where there's the worry about whether he can be a strong A1 goalie. But like we just talked about before, there really isn't much the Oilers can do about this to change it in season.
Yeah, and I think tonight is just it's a really good opportunity for Skinner to kind of put people's doubts behind him, I guess, and show what he can do. And I think he will have a good game. Last time they played Colorado, I know the stats won't show that he was great, but
Made
and
some
the
big
Oilers
saves.
were down 3-0. But
It was just one bad period.
yeah, it really was. And look at the guys who were scoring. Nathan McKinnon had 2 unreal goals in that game. Like, what do you really want him to do, right? And I think you think back to that game, and he had that great stop on Logan O'Connor when it was shorthanded. Although I did just say Skinner isn't winning necessarily consistently against the big teams, what I would label as must-win games for the Oilers are obviously against divisional opponents like your LA Kings and your Vegas Golden Knights. In 2 games against LA this season, he has a 1.95 goals against average, and his save percentage is a 932. Against Vegas in 3 games, he only won one of them, unfortunately. One of them was also a 1-0 loss, which kind of sucks. 2.3 goals against average and a 9.24 save percentage. So overall, like, he's been solid in those divisional games. It really has been against like your Washingtons and your Torontos where he's struggled the most, but that kind of is what it is at the end of the day. So my computer just froze. That is going to happen from time to time. Every single time we're on the show, it seems to happen to me big time. But yeah, I think Skinner for me is the giant storyline. Do you have any other big storylines for tonight's game?
I guess the storyline for me is, how do the Avs stack up when it's not Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar on the ice? Because there used to be Mikko Rantanen. He usually was on the line with Nathan McKinnon, but that was kind of their secondary forward option. Now Martin Necas is playing on the line with McKinnon. Across the minutes where it's McKinnon and Makar playing together, the Avs have outscored opponents 32-22. And then across the minutes with neither one of those players, the Avs have been outscored 67-46. Those are, like I said, like 2017-18, 2018-19 Oilers numbers. So if the Avs can at least break even, like for context, the Oilers are 25-14 in goals when McDavid and Draisaitl are on the ice, and they're up 47-42 when neither of them are on the ice. So their support cast is getting it done. You only really have to be just like a little bit above 50 for it. But the Avs aren't going to be a serious playoff contender if they can't get scoring without those 2 guys on the ice.
And it's so interesting because you think back, and I know they've had crucial injuries. Like Nichushkin has obviously had his issue with Landeskog. We haven't really seen in the last 2, or not seen in the last 2 years. Like, his career seems
he's fallen off. He's just completely fallen off the grid. It's been 2 or 3 years.
I think it's been 2 years. I think he played the year after they won the cup. And then after that, it was kind of when everything just unfortunately faded away from him.
Yeah, he hasn't played since 2021-22. That was the last time he played. And he only played 51 games that regular season as well. And you look back at the guys Colorado had when they won the Stanley Cup. Rantanen led the team with 36 goals. McKinnon had 32. Landeskog 30. Nazem Kadri, who left, 28 goals.
That's right.
Cale Makar had 28. Val Nichushkin 25. Andre Burakovsky 22. JT Compher, he's gone as well, 18. Alex Newhook 13. Like, that's a lot of guys that aren't on the roster anymore. They didn't really replace.
It's very difficult when you win a cup and you kind of have everyone close to expiring contracts, I think, continue to bring that group back. Like, I think when you look at the Oilers, like, if they're able to win a Stanley Cup this season, they're going to have pretty much the same group to running back for the next 2 years at least, right?
Most of the group,
to continue to go. Like, who's the big guy who, like, obviously McDavid's contract is likely to get re-signed, but he's a pending UFA in a year or so. Evan Bouchard is an RFA this year, but when you look around, like, Hyman's locked in, Draisaitl's obviously locked in, Ekholm still has a bit of time, Stuart Skinner will have to get signed up again, but I'm sure he'll be fine. But the group and the core of this is pretty much
the impending UFAs this offseason for forwards: Jeff Skinner, Corey Perry, Connor Brown, Kasperi Kapanen. On defense, it's John Klingberg. So yeah, most of the guys are already locked in.
John Klingberg, who it was talked about that Klingberg will be staying in Edmonton during his 4 Nations stint and won't be going anywhere, and just basically conditioning and trying to get up to full speed.
Just vibing.
Yeah, just having good vibes. My computer is up and running again, so that's really promising. That's good technology right there. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, it's that's what you sounded like when you came up the stairs.
So I felt, to be honest, this thing might take off any second. It was an interesting stat today. If you go over to Oilersnation.com, you might be able to sneak this in during the 7-minute window between this show ending and the puck drop happening between the Oilers and Colorado Avalanche. GDB from Jason Gregg. What does GDB stand for?
I think it's Game Day Bitches. That was my understanding.
That adds up. He wrote about how the question was, do the Oilers allow shots too early, allow goals on the first 3 shots of the game? Did you read this one? Did you edit
I
this
didn't
one?
read it.
No.
Zach edited it and posted it.
Okay. So I'll read it for you.
Sure.
So he said, last night, the NHL had 9 games. 4 of them saw a team allow a goal in the first 3 shots. Mackenzie Blackwood, Sergei Bobrovsky, Joey Decord, and Connor Ingram all allowed a goal within the first 3 shots of the game. Colorado, Florida, and Utah won their game, while Seattle lost to Toronto. Kind of an unexpected result. So then he goes on to list. He's like, here are the goalies who have started. Here are the starting goalies who have allowed the most goals within the first 3 shots of the game. Igor Shesterkin, 13. Stuart Skinner, 12, second most for starters. Andre Vasilevsky, 11, along with Mackenzie Blackwood, Philip Grubauer, who's actually not a star anymore, now plays in the American Hockey. He's in the AHL, yeah. Jake Ottinger, 10, Sergei Bobrovsky is 9, along with Aiden Hill. He then goes on to say, Shesterkin and Grubauer are the only goalies on non-playoff teams. I can understand why it irks some Oilers fans that Skinner has allowed 12, but it happens more often across the NHL than many may think. Skinner isn't doing it at a massively higher rate than some of the other top stars in the league. He did say, however, Calvin Pickett has done it at a much higher rate, has allowed 11 goals in the first 3 shots in 18 of his starts, but the Oilers are 9-2 in that, so he hasn't really harmed them too much. I also think a big part of this as well is sometimes these goalies aren't seeing they're maybe seeing like 3 shots in the first 10 minutes, whilst the Oilers are putting on like 10 shots in the first 10 minutes of games. Like their first shot might not come for like 3 or 4 minutes. And I understand it's like being a goalie, one side of it is so mental of like trying to stay dialed in, but like their first shot might not be for like 5-6 minutes. I think it's very difficult sometimes to put ourselves in goalie shoes. What do you think?
Yeah, that seems to be more of just a list of goalies that are just sort of a clump than any like kind of conclusion we could draw. Because it's a mix of veteran goalies, good and bad.
Yeah, it's not really anything, is it?
I think the thing about the Oilers allowing goals in the first 3 shots comes down to one of those 2 things, like you said. There's times where they destroy the other team for the first 5 minutes and then fall off a cliff for 5-10 minutes after that, and then maybe the 3rd shot of the game came 12 minutes in and they allow a goal. Or there's sometimes where the Oilers are just completely asleep for the first 20 minutes and they go down.
Totally happens.
No surprise they've allowed a goal in the first 5 minutes because nobody was awake.
And it's always the goalie's fault.
Oh, everyone. Yeah, that's what I said. It's the goaltending in Edmonton's always a problem. It will always be, no matter what. They could have a goalie put up like a 950 save percentage and people would still complain
about it. Our friend Lance, who is in the chat right now, he sends me a lot of ideas. Most of them I shoot down just to... I don't want him to start his own show because there's actually pretty good ideas. But he sent me one the other day of his thoughts on the way the Oilers actually start some games. And I can't find exactly what he said here, but essentially what he was saying is, oh, here it is. The Oilers, to start the game, try to be a high and fast flying team. They tend to be kind of all over the teams, but they don't play structured defense. And he's saying like sometimes when the Oilers come out and that's the style they're trying to play, it actually kind of ruins them a little bit. And I know the Oilers are typically known around the league as this flying team who comes out and scores 4, 5, 6 goals a game, but like really they are a very defensive sounding team. And it is interesting to wonder if like, okay, if they came out just a little bit calmer to start games, like how much would that change things? I thought that was a pretty good thought by Lance. I won't tell you what he said to me about Matthias Janmark. I'll keep that between the two of us. He just said, maybe Janmark is a much better player than I like to give him credit for. But Janmark is a good 4th line player.
He is a good 4th line player.
He's a terrible 2nd line player.
A lot of why the Oilers' blue line has been as strong as it has this season is because they have a lot of defensively responsible centers and wingers. And Janmark not scoring is frustrating, but he's paid to be a defensive forward. And they need that. It's been a long time since the Oilers had forwards that back check properly, won battles in the defensive zones, were in the right spots. Like there was years when the 3rd and 4th liners were just not good at anything. Not good at nothing. It'd be great if he scored 14 goals, but
totally. And I actually have no problem with Janmark. I have problems with Janmark, and it's more on Knobloch when Janmark is playing in the top 6.
He's the puck retriever,
and he can't like handle a puck.
And he lets the players cheat on offense if he's with McDavid or Draisaitl because he knows he's going to get back.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what he does. He fulfills his role.
You got to keep everybody humble. Lance in the chat and said,
"Love depth players.
This Lance guy sounds very smart. I'd hire him." I can't hire you, Lance. I need
neither of us are. That's above our pay grade, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got bills to pay, buddy. Sorry about that. Okay, Brett, where are we up to next? I know you can't talk to me right now, but let's get into the lineup. Is there any new lineup notes you think that we need to know about? Okay, sounds good. So that is the lineup is brought to you by Greta. You can probably still get down there to go and no, both of them. I adjusted it. I think both of them, right? They can be. Okay, the home and away lineup is brought to you by Greta Bar. You can get down there right now. See if you can catch the game whenever you want. I'd recommend the Big Mac Poo team. We also have some nation events coming up when the Team Canada plays Team USA at the Four Nations.
When is that?
It's the 15th. There you go. I actually made an announcement today. If and when we sell out this event, I will sing the Canadian national anthem.
Sure.
To start the game for everyone. What did you say? No, I will be keeping my clothes on. You have to pay extra for that. But that is $10 tickets. All of this goes in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation as well. And we also have our brunch for Ben coming up. Unfortunately sold out, but maybe if anything shakes loose there, we'll let people know. $40 for VIP, which I think gets you a burger, if I'm not mistaken. Burger and beveraginos. Can people hear you now, or are you just talking to me? Okay, Brett. Okay, sounds good. And then we're gonna do some other stuff like citizenship questions. So, like for example, Brett will ask the two of us a question. Because you're a Canadian citizen, I am not, and we'll see who gets one right.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. Okay, getting into our lineup report. Are we going with the Oilers lineup first? Okay, the Oilers lineup looking like it's going to stay pretty much exactly the same. So your first line is Victor Arvidsson, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman. On the second line, Jeff Skinner, Leon Draisaitl, Vasily Podkolzin. Third line, everyone's favorite, Matthias Janmark, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Connor Brown. Corey Perry, Adam Henrique, and Kasperi Kapanen round out the forward group. On the blue line, your typical six. Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with John Klingberg, Brett Kulak with Ty Emberson. Coom, we obviously saw this group together the other night against the Chicago Blackhawks. What did you make of the forward group, and would you have made any changes or adjustments to tonight's lineup?
Yeah, there's no reason to make any changes after winning back-to-back games on the road. There was a lot of shuffling, not a lot, but a decent amount of shuffling last game as well. So I imagine we might see wingers move around a little bit, but I'm happy to see Jeff Skinner remain in the top six. He had a
great game,
very difficult start to the year, and it feels like, I mean, you gotta, it was the same thing with Connor Brown last year. It took him a while to get acclimatized to the new city, the new team. So I think Tyler said this on Twitter, didn't he? We're gonna like second half Jeff Skinner more than we like first half Jeff Skinner.
I think he's on my muted list. I didn't see that. No, I'm joking. I don't have you muted, Tyler. Yeah, I think so too. I think eventually you're right. Like I know Connor Brown, Jeff Skinner, obviously very different expectations. I think saying that, we did all think Connor Brown was going to play next to Connor McDavid.
We all thought there was people predicting he was going to score 20, 25 goals last season.
He didn't even come close. What did he get? 6 in a regular season? 4? Whatever it may be. Not enough, I'll tell you that much. Jeff Skinner, though, I really liked him as well. Again, besides Leon Draisaitl, that's where I'll be looking to put a couple of shillings tonight, to say the least. Let's move on to the Colorado Avalanche lineup. Brett is looking like it's pretty much the same, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, let me pull this up here. Arturi Lehkonen, Nathan McKinnon, and Marian Necas are the first line, and you'll be seeing a ton of those guys tonight because that's basically the only line that plays. Jonathan Drouin and Casey Middlestad, who is on Frank's trade board despite only being here for just about a year. Here we go. Juuso Parssinen. Close enough, right? Parssinen. Thank you, Brad. Miles Wood on the third line with Jack Drury and Ross Colton. Fourth line is Joel Kiviranta. I knew that one. Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor. You may remember Kiviranta scored a hat trick in the bubble in Edmonton for the Dallas Stars. That was how that guy came onto the scene.
Who could forget?
It was actually a crazy moment. Pairings, Devon Taves, Cale McCarr. Again, you'll see a ton of those guys tonight. Samuel Girard, Sam Malinski, Calvin DeHaan, and Oliver Shillington, the former Calgary Flame. I know we spoke about this lineup quite a bit already, Kuhn, but what do you make of that group? Is there anyone outside of the top 3 forwards that you see as a legit threat to cause the Oilers some trouble tonight? I suppose Jonathan Drouin has had a pretty good time as he's been in Colorado, but obviously not the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah, I don't think Drouin ever really had the career anybody expected him
No.
to have when he was ripping it up in the QMJHL, but he does play well with Nathan McKinnon, so I don't know. I don't think him and Casey Middlestad are a very exciting or dominant second line. So I think really with the Avs, as we talked about before, it's when McKinnon and Makar are on the ice, they're very dangerous. But the Oilers thankfully have quite a few good defensive players.
Yeah, they do. I got a couple of stats for you.
Okay.
These actually kind of blew my mind. I told Brett before, so we'll keep these lines up, Brett, for a minute. That first line there, Lehkonen, McKinnon, Martin, HS. Obviously, HS only been around for 7 games. At 5-on-5, they've played just under an hour together. They're scoring their opponents 4-0 on the ice at 5-on-5, so that's promising. This fourth line, Kiviranta, Kelly, O'Connor. They have been together. Mackenzie Blackwood confirmed, by the way. Thank you, Brett. They have been together this season more than any other forward trio on the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, Mikko Rantanen throws a bit of a wrench in those plans, and he was right up there. But either way, they would have been third on the list. So they have outshot their opponents all season. Their expected goals for is 6.46. They have been outscored this year 9-1 at 5-on-5.
That's good. They only had 1 goal at even strength between the 3 of them.
Yeah,
And they keep running that same line out there over and over again.
Out there every night, Nick.
Could you imagine if we
good
had that
goal.
going on here, like how much we could talk about it?
Oh,
Like, they won't break up the line.
Yeah, the fourth line. What are we doing?
That's like the Lucic, Brodzy, and Kazian, the identity line from
The
years ago.
Oh, I haven't heard someone say the identity line. In so
That's Colorado's identity line. They don't score, but they've got an identity.
And it's a bad one.
A bad one. A terrible identity.
With that said, I really liked Logan O'Connor when the Oilers played against him. And if oh boy, I'm thinking about it right now. He scored in that game, Logan O'Connor, didn't he?
Was that the only even strength goal
Is
they
that the
scored all
only
year?
one? I would have to, we're going to have to go lucky. I'll see if I can pull that up quickly on the fly. Boy, oh boy, that would be that would be tough for me to shove them like that and to go out and do that. Let's are you pulling it up there, Koom?
I'm trying to look at how many even strength goals guys on the Avs have.
Okay, let me.
But I don't know how to look into that.
Okay,
wait, which game are you talking about? The 4-3. One of the 4-1 ones.
The one where the Oilers came back. Yeah, I got it right
the
here.
4-3 one. Yeah.
So let's see here as this all loads up. I really hope I'm wrong.
He scored the first
That was
goal
it?
5 minutes into the game. Yeah. And Joel Kiviranta got an assist, as well as Mikko Rantanen. They had him on that line that game. They were mixing it up a little bit.
So luckily,
that kind of changes it a little bit.
Luckily, that line did not cause the Oilers any damage. That line actually didn't play together. And we don't have to worry about Mikko Rantanen tonight. Thank goodness. That could.
We do have to worry about Logan O'Connor.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's got a lot of speed.
I don't know.
Give him some credit. I liked him, but yeah. Any other thoughts on the lineup screens before we?
Hockey Reference says Logan O'Connor's nickname is just all caps LOC. He's from Missouri. He's from Missouri City in Texas, which is as weird as Kansas City being in Missouri.
That is weird. Yeah, yeah. And Paris being in Toronto.
What? Paris in Texas.
Paris, Texas.
Paris, Toronto.
Paris, Texas. It's a bar in Toronto. That's where I saw Nikita Kucherov.
Who's in Texas?
Paris. Toronto. When we were at the All-Star game, there's a bar called Paris, Texas. And we were there for an event. And we sat at this table. And I just saw this little guy walk into the bathroom. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was Nikita Kucherov. And everyone was
What
like,
do you mean little guy? Like how little of a guy?
He's a short man. What is he? Probably at 5'8", I would think. Maybe he's a little bit taller than that. He wasn't as big as I thought. Yeah. No, he's got to be bigger than that.
Saying he's a wee man.
Just a little boy. Either way, Kucherov, maybe not quite 5'8".
What do they list him as?
I'm just trying to pull it up now. It's taking his time. 6 foot. Yeah, big man.
Okay.
I'm 6 foot. So, yeah, pretty tall. Maybe it was...
You said you had a full foot on him.
I felt like I was significantly
like a full
taller
head
than
length
him.
over him.
Yeah, I actually did. I kind of stood next to him, and I felt like I was much bigger. Either way, Kucherov is there. All of a sudden, Igor Shesterkin walks in. Kirill Kaprizov
was he also like 5'5"?
He was quite.
All these guys are ranging between 5'1" and 5'.
I got it wrong. Kaprizov was a small one. He's little, isn't he? Kucherov
is a regular size.
He's a regular sized man. 6 foot. 6 foot.
They're like those. They're like those Russian cup dolls.
Yeah,
and they were standing side by side, and they just got like noticeably shorter each time.
There was one other guy there too. I can't remember who it was. Whoever the other Russian was that was at the All-Star game that year. No, it definitely wasn't Zadorov. He's definitely not good enough to make an all-star game. Okay, let's move on to our Bet365.
Maybe Artemi Panarin? I just Googled Russian NHL players.
I don't know. I'd have to have a look. That was the last all-star game.
Dmitry Kulikov?
No, it wasn't cool.
Artem Zub?
Any other Russians you got on that list? Really?
Zubstep?
Darius, what was that one guy's name? He was Lithuanian. Darius
Kasparaitis.
Zubras.
Oh, Dennis Zubras.
Yeah. Kasparaitis was Latvian,
Okay.
I think. Either way, Bordzy's bankroll. Let's get into that.
Did he send us pick?
I just did it myself. I don't think
Wow.
he sent us anything, did he?
I think
But
Darius
no.
Kasparaitis is going to score a goal. That's my
There,
that's my guaranteed bet of the
I
night.
think
Wait, I can't say that. There's no such thing as a guaranteed bet.
Anisimov.
Artem Anisimov?
Is that what his name was?
Who?
Nick
Nikita Nikitin.
No, the should have read an ad read, whatever. What's his name?
That's exactly what Bet365 is
The
looking for.
Kazakhstanian.
Nick Antropov.
Nick Antropov. There you go.
Yuri Andropov.
Nick Andropov. There you go. Here's our bets for tonight. Brett. Okay, this is the three we got. So Brett, you put a poll in the chat if I'm not mistaken, right? To give us some ideas. Brett said wee. Okay, so we got the first one. Let me know which one you like. I know they're not too glamorous, but we're just looking for winners here. Over 1.5 shots for Stuart Skinner. Obviously,
Limesy?
Alongside.
Who's
Who's
Limesy?
Who said that? What the heck?
Limesy. Is that what people call you? Is
No,
that your
no one has ever
is that your
called me
hockey
in my
nickname?
life. I don't have a
Limesy.
hockey nickname. Oh boy, that really threw me off. Okay, Jeff Skinner over 1.5 shots, playing alongside Leon Draisaitl. Hit this in 4 of his last 5. Hit it quite significantly too, with a couple of 3-shot games in there. Victor Arvidsson, 1 point tonight, plus 128. Tyler told me this one. Kale McCall under 1.5 shots, plus 120. This is hit in 7 of his last 10 games.
Really? He's not putting pucks on net?
He's not not blocking.
Oh, sorry,
shots.
blocks. I see.
Yeah.
I got you. I thought it said shots.
Which one do you like the most?
I like the Jeff Skinner one. I feel like he's excited and he's fired up. He wants to remain in the top 6, so he's not going to mess this up.
I was thinking too. My Oilers Nation everyday bet is Arvidsson point, but I'm thinking I'm going to try and parlay him and Jeff Skinner together, but they didn't have that.
Someone, this is actually really interesting. Someone noticed in the chat that Alimi is a British person.
Yeah, it's
and you're British.
I am British.
You're from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, the home of the Queen and the King. Limey is kind of a crazy thing.
What is limey? And
that's fine.
A predominantly North American slang nickname for a British person. The word has been around since the mid-19th century. Yeah. Intended as a pejorative, the word is not commonly used today, though it retains that connection.
Exactly. So,
are you offended by being called a limey? Yeah. Does that mean?
I'm not offended. Hopefully,
limey an insult. How insulting is the word limey? We found ourselves a Reddit on Reddit Ask a Brit. I've heard this word being used in humorous internet videos talking about British people, but I never quite understood what it means or if it's some sort of playful name, poking fun, or a true slur. Thoughts? Number 1 comment from Ravens Hill 3 years ago. It's a pretty mild insult and has fallen out of use almost everywhere. I think the origin is from British sailors drinking fruit juices to prevent scurvy on long voyages, and can't think of many references to it in the last 50 years.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You fucking limey.
Anyways, the other one I liked was Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner combined as one, which is plus 350 on the bankroll as well. So we got the poll in there, Brett. What are we looking at right now? Number 53. There you go. So Jeff
over
Skinner,
under 1.5 times on the after game show. I call you limey.
Under, I hope. Quickly, we got 5 minutes left before we wrap up. Stan Bowman spoke today with Pierre LeBrun. We referenced it a little bit earlier. Mentioned that the Oilers are probably going to look for a depth less shot, and then potentially he kind of just said everywhere, to be honest. But centerman and a left winger too, like one of those two guys.
They said there was what they'll do at the deadline will come down to where they feel best about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Is he a left winger or is he a center? And
did they actually reference that?
That's what he was talking about in this article with Pierre LeBrun. It was if they're comfortable with Nugent Hopkins being that center, the 3C or 2C, depending on Draisaitl, then they'll probably go out and add a winger. But if that's not the case and they want him as the first left wing or whatever, then probably another center.
Can I throw a name out to you?
Sure.
Noah Dobson.
From the Islanders, the D-man?
The New York Islanders defenseman is
Evan Bouchard too?
supposedly available.
Interesting.
$4 million, 25 years old, pending RFA. Would you do it?
Who do you send back?
So I was trying to find comparisons, and obviously it's pretty difficult to find a 25-year-old defenseman that is going to move to the trade deadline as a pending RFA. The closest one, and they had a year left on them, and they're not the same player. I'm not comparing them. It's just similarities in some way, is Philip Hronek. And someone put in I can't even read what name it is. It says, "You're dreaming. I am dreaming. You better believe I'm dreaming."
The
But there
Islanders,
was reports that this is a possibility. They spoke about
this is
it on
Lou
NHL.
Lamoriello we're talking.
Yeah, they spoke
traded.
about it.
They traded. Who was it to the Colorado? It was Devon Taves for 2 second-round picks.
That's right. Yes, it was. That's right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that. I think this is not very realistic, to say the
Well,
least.
not for the Oilers, no, but
I don't know. Like, I would put it a pretty low down on the realistic scale, but like,
I think Brad Marchand is more realistic
I
than
think
Noah Dobson.
if he becomes available, though, the Oilers should do whatever it takes.
They should. But
Right
would you even
shots.
expect to sign him? Like, how could you go into the
But
offseason?
what if you don't re-sign him and you just trade him again?
Or you just let someone offer sheet him? You just wait for the Blues to come around and
Maybe.
sign him to a big contract to get your draft picks. Say, all right.
So to wrap it up quickly, but like
You only sign one of him or Bouchard.
and you signed Bouchard.
You sign one of
100%.
the two of them, not the other one. Wait for them to get offer sheets.
Did Dobson? Oh, yes, that's what happened. Dobson went higher in the draft than Bush. Oh,
He
no,
was-
went one lower.
He was the 11th pick, I think.
12th pick. I just got it right here. There was
12th
someone
pick?
who went a little bit higher that was like unexpected. Adam Boquist.
And there was a forward too. The Rangers selected a forward right before. that
Oh,
as
the
well.
Russian fella. And
Yeah.
he never became anything. Yes. Adam
was that?
Boquist went 8th. Vitel
Kravtsov.
Kravtsov.
That's right.
And then Evan Bouchard fell to the Oilers. Now, that's something that people don't bring up. Philip
Yeah.
Zadina also 6th overall. Quinn Hughes going 7th. The defenseman in this draft are
That was bad.
crazy. Brett said, "I know you can't hear me, but
This is a trade you add Bo Akey.
this is a trade you had Bo Akey to."
Well,
Trade
Akey,
Akey,
couple, like a first,
a first,
another pick,
and a roster player.
You don't think that gets it done?
can't the
No, I
Islanders
think
do
that's
better than
not
that?
Too far off.
The
I don't
Islanders
know.
can surely do better. If
But
you were
I-
trading Evan Bouchard, would you accept Bo Akey, a first-round pick in 2026, and a
No.
roster player?
But we're also not last. And the reason, so Jason Demers came on as well, and we'll wrap this up quickly. Came on and said they've seen similar offensive numbers from Tony D'Angelo that is now leading them to believe that they don't need to re-sign Noah Dobson to a ticket.
Sure.
How dumb is that? It's so
That'd
dumb.
be the New York Islanders. That's
It
what they
totally
do. That's what
would
they
be.
do.
This is the most likely Lou Lamoriello trade we'll see this summer.
Sweet Lou.
Just retire, man. Do us all. Actually, trade Dobson, then retire.
Yeah,
Do
trade
us a
Dobson to the
favor.
Oilers for Troy Stetcher and a third-round pick.
I think if the Oilers did Akey first, Philp, few more picks.
Derek Ryan.
I mean, that fits that mold. Old guy expiring contract. Could work. I don't expect it. But nevertheless, maybe we'll talk
Dare
about
to
it.
dream.
Yeah, we may as well. We may as well. The Oilers are going to make some moves. It's actually going to be quite exciting. But there you go. Pre-gaming with Bordzy has come to a close. Thank
You're
you.
gaming with Limesy.
Pre-gaming. We'll change the logo later on.
Post gaming with Limesy.
We'll see you guys later on the After Dark show when it's the three of us again. Oil up. Is that what Aaron says too?
Cup year.
Cup year.
Got